Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And I have the books here with me, the two Melody Beatty books that we're gonna roll through the end of the year with, but I haven't even looked at them yet. I haven't even opened them, so I have no idea what the meditations say. Let's look in the language of letting go and see what it says for December 28th. Hold on just a second. December 28th. Panic. Going to see that one. And then in the Journey to the Heart, let's see what it says for December 28th. It says, heal yourself. Let's read from the language of letting go first. All right, here we go. Panic, December 28th. Don't panic. If panic strikes, we do not have to allow it to control our behaviors. Behaviors controlled by panic tend to be self-defeating. No matter what the situation or circumstance, panic is usually not a good foundation. No matter what the situation or circumstance, we usually have at least a moment to breathe deeply and restore our serenity and peace. We don't have to do more than we can reasonably do, ever. We don't have to do something we absolutely cannot do or cannot learn to do. This program, this healthy way of life we are seeking, is built on a foundation of peace and quiet confidence in ourselves, in our higher power, in the recovery process. Do not panic. That takes us away from the path. Relax, breathe deeply, let peace flow through our body and mind. From this base, our source shall supply the necessary resources. Today I will treat panic as a separate issue that needs immediate attention. I will refuse to allow panicky thoughts and feelings to motivate me. Instead, I will let peace and trust motivate my feelings, thoughts, and behaviors. All right, interesting meditation, and I really like this one. I think I say that in almost every video. Very rarely do I say, I don't like this meditation, this isn't a good meditation, but there's always something to be found, I feel, of substance in every meditation that I read. So I was thinking two thoughts about this meditation as I read it, and when I'm reading, I kind of just like go with my gut of what I'm thinking. I was thinking about this friend of mine that I had many years ago, and everything, that she would respond to or react to was always on like a 9 or a 10 level. And what I mean by that is, when you look at your life and the things that happen to you in your life, this is like a good question. It's a good way to kind of gauge life. I feel like I'm always a person that looks at like measurable goals 1 through 10, or like, rating things on a scale of like, is it horrible on a scale of 1 to 10, like 10 being horrible, 1 being not that bad at all, right? Or was this a fantastic experience, 10 being off the charts fantastic, and 1 being it was horrible? So I like to rate things, right? And I can remember she would call me a lot, and she would say, oh my God, I'm going through this whole situation. And, it would be like her mom was in the hospital. A pretty scary situation, something like her mom had to be admitted to the hospital overnight. And this was years and years and years ago. And then the next day, it would be something like, I don't know, I'm just making stuff up, but she, couldn't get her Christmas done in time, her Christmas shopping done in time. But then the next day, it would be something like she was stuck in traffic, or, it just was always like something, like she just kind of like lived in a constant state of chaos. I don't know if you know people that are like that. And and it's interesting because I haven't probably talked to this friend of mine. We didn't have a falling out or anything, but we just kind of like faded apart over the years, and I probably haven't talked to her in, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 years. But anyway, I can remember one time talking to her, and everything for her would be like a 9 or a 10. Like the way that she reacted to it was always on a 9 or a 10. Like everything was living in a state of total catastrophe. And I said to her one time, I said, it makes me sad for you, because like everything that happens in your life, no matter if it's, the milk went sour, or, you had somebody in your life pass away, is always like a 9 or a 10. It's always a major catastrophe. You catastrophize everything. There is no way that, and maybe it was something from the way that she was raised. I don't know. Maybe it was the life that she had growing up. Who knows, But nobody can live in a state of total catastrophe all the time. They just can't, right? And so, and I said it to her like rather directly, whereas like the previous conversations had always been like, oh, I'm sorry that that's what's going on, whatever. And she said to me, she was like, you're so right. She was like, I catastrophize everything. And I said, And like that day, I don't even know what it was, but it was something that wasn't that serious that had happened. It was like milk going sour. And I said, okay, so today, like milk going sour, like on a scale of 1 to 10, remembering that like somebody passing away in your life probably is like a 10. I said, what would be like your milk going sour? And she goes, oh, I don't know, like a 5 or a 6. And I go, okay, seriously? 10 is somebody that passes away. Your milk going sour. She goes, oh, you're right. Like, you know, a 1 or a 2. And I said, okay, so now we're living in reality, you know? And so she started doing that. She would start like kind of like gauging, and I had done that for a long time myself. She started kind of gauging stuff that happened in her life. And I remember it was like, I had kind of forgotten about it. Like time went by and she called me up and something had happened. And I don't remember what it was, but something like not good. It was, you know, pretty horrible in her life had happened. And she said, I don't know if you remember this conversation that we had, you know, talking about catastrophizing things, which when she said that to me, I then remembered it again. She said, but I just want to thank you for that. She goes, because what it allowed me to do was not panic in situations that don't require it. And so then it allowed me to give attention to those things that are really that important in life. Because I think sometimes what we do is, we panic about everything. We catastrophize everything. It's like we live in this total state of chaos, you know? And nobody can thrive in that. Nobody can live in a state of chaos where, you know, they're doing any kind of good whatsoever. And I remember that, you know, that it just was, I don't know, a way to kind of look at your life and look at the things that happen in your life and realize that it can't all be horrible, you know, and it can't all be, you know, and even the things that happen in my life that aren't great, I feel like I learn something from that, you know, that I don't know, I used to be of the belief that things happen in our lives for a reason. I don't necessarily believe that anymore. You know, my friend Tanya and I were talking about it several years ago, and she's like, I just don't believe that things always happen for a reason. And I think I kind of like changed my opinion about that. I do believe that we can find meaning in the things that happen, you know, and we can find growth and change in the things that happen. The other thing that I wanted to say in here was, and I've talked a lot about this in the last, I would say 2 years on my channel, is that when we are in this state of panic or when something happens to us, our immediate response typically is that we want to react to it. You know, it's like I used to use this example. It's like when somebody hits you, you want to hit them back, right? Instead of saying, ouch, like that hurt me, and then thinking about it, processing it, and then responding to it. In the last 2 years, 3 years maybe, I have worked really, really hard on not reacting to situations and not being reactionary. I was extremely reactionary in my youth and all the way through my 30s and partway through my 40s. You know, I was very, very reactionary to situations. You know, people would say something that would set me off, and I didn't like it about myself at all. And, you know, I would say things that I didn't really feel or didn't really mean at the time just because I was hurt, and hurt people. And, you know, that meant that I had to go back and make amends for those things that I said. And, you know, I was never proud of myself for those moments. And so I have really learned to hit the pause button when I'm going through those moments or when somebody says something to me and I'm kind of like, I don't know what I think about that. You know what I mean? Oh, so you feel like that's okay to say to me. I don't necessarily just like jump right in and like attack anymore. There was a long time that I did that for. And like I said, I'm not proud of that. And I had to take a real look at who I was in those moments. You know, when I talk about, whether it's on this channel, my drama channel, or any channel, you know, people taking a look at who they were in their past, and I talk about doing evaluation and inventory, like that was a piece that I really had to look at. Like, why am I so reactionary that I feel like it's okay to jump down somebody's throat just because they jump down my throat? That doesn't make it okay. I'm responsible for cleaning up my side of the street. I'm responsible for staying in my lane and taking care of my business. That's what I'm responsible for. I can't control other people. I can't control what they do. I can't control what they say. I can control what I do and what I say. And I find that my life works a lot easier and goes a lot simpler when I am not reacting to things and I'm not like trying to hurt people and I'm not like, you know, being like, well, if you hadn't said this and you hadn't said that, and, you know, drawing up things that happened 10 years ago, like, you know, and trying to hurt people with it and, you know, all that kind of stuff. I don't like to live that way. It doesn't make me happy. So I don't try to do that today. Do I ever slip back into that old mode? Sure. the thing is, I've worked so hard on it that it's not a comfortable place for me anymore, you know? It's like, today when I say that like peace and serenity is not a luxury for me, I've worked so hard on not having chaos and toxicity in my life. There was a time that chaos and toxicity existed daily in my life and was comfortable. It's not comfortable for me anymore. I don't like it. So when I have chaos and toxicity in my life, I feel it. Like it really feels heavy, like wearing a heavy coat. And you know, being reactionary to things doesn't feel comfortable either. So I go back quickly to being responsive and hitting the pause button and thinking about, okay, well, what do I really need to be doing in this situation? So anyway, good meditation for today. Let me know what you think about that in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.